Welcome, mystic seekers, to Mystic Manor, where history meets mystery. In Greek mythology, power came at a cost, particularly for women who ventured into the realms of forbidden knowledge and mystical arts. Those who dared to unlock these hidden forces often found themselves marked by fate, branded as witches, shunned by society, or even cursed by the gods themselves. They walked a fine line between reverence and fear. These were women who held powers beyond mortal understanding, and who broke the boundaries that the gods and society alike tried to enforce. Today, we delve into the dark side of Greek mythology and uncover the stories of these cursed women and witches who defied expectations and wielded knowledge or magic that brought both awe and fear. Each of them possessed powers that set them apart, but in a world ruled by gods and where the ultimate law, wisdom and power were dangerous gifts for a woman to hold. What price did they pay for daring to wield such power? Today, we're diving into the cursed and fated women of Greek mythology, whose bravery to defy the gods came at a steep, tragic price. Now, in ancient Greek, Kirke would actually be pronounced Kirke, but for simplicity and familiarity, I'll be using the more common English pronunciation, Circe. Circe, one of Greek mythology's most famous sorceresses, has cast a long shadow over stories of powerful and complex women, even inspiring characters in modern fantasy. Most notably, it's widely believed that her name and influence can be seen in Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones, a character who, much like the mythological Circe, navigates a world of power, magic, and vengeance. But the original Circe is a tale all her own, a woman who wields her powers to reshape others, defend her territory, and ultimately carve out her own path amid the forces of the gods and men. Circe is a goddess and sorceress, the daughter of the sun god Helios and the ocean nymph Perse. Unlike many gods or goddesses, she chooses to live in seclusion on the island of Aeaea, away from the traditional power structures of Olympus. This independence is significant, as it symbolizes her desire for autonomy and mastery over her magical arts without interference. When Odysseus's men arrive on her island, weary and hungry, they recklessly consume the food and wine she offers without considering the consequences. Angered by their lack of respect and intrusion, Circe decides to punish Odysseus's men by transforming them into swine. She does this by lacing the food and wine with a powerful potion, then casting a spell as they eat, triggering the transformation. Unlike his men, Odysseus approaches Circe with caution, having received a protective herb called moly from the god Hermes to ward off her magic. When Circe tries to cast her spell on him, the herb prevents it from taking effect, leaving her surprised and impressed by his cleverness. Rather than retaliating, Circe sees a kindred spirit in Odysseus and decides to offer him hospitality instead. Recognizing Odysseus's intelligence and caution, she does not seek to harm him, and they eventually become lovers. Over the course of a year, she aids Odysseus, providing him with valuable guidance and supplies for the next phase of his journey. After their year together on Aeaea, Odysseus departs to continue his journey home to Ithaca, leaving Circe behind. Though she does develop a complex relationship with Odysseus, it is fleeting, and she eventually returns to her life of isolation. In some accounts, Circe later gives birth to Telegonus, who grows up without knowing his father. He becomes a skilled warrior, and eventually sets out to find Odysseus after learning about his heritage. In a twist of fate, he arrives in Ithaca in search of his father. However, due to a misunderstanding, a tragic encounter ensues. Believing his son to be an intruder, Odysseus tries to defend his home And during the conflict, Telegonus fatally wounds Odysseus with a spear tipped with a stingray's venom, a weapon that, in some versions, Circe herself provided. In the end, Circe's magic and bloodline come full circle in a twist of fate, as the very son she bore from Odysseus unknowingly brings about his father's death. Despite her powers, Circe cannot alter the fate set in motion, leaving her bound by the same destiny that governs even the mightiest figures of Greek mythology. Pandora is a unique figure in Greek mythology, often considered the first mortal woman who was created by the gods. Unlike other figures in Greek myth who are created for protection or companionship, Pandora is made as part of a divine punishment directed at humanity. Zeus orders her creation in retaliation for Prometheus's act of stealing fire and gifting it to humans, which granted them independence and a spark of the divine. Once Hephaestus finishes her form, the other Olympian gods bestow special gifts upon Pandora. Each god and goddess contributes unique qualities: beauty from Aphrodite, curiosity from Hera, dexterity from Athena, making her a blend of divine traits. Finally, Athena in some versions, or Zeus himself, breathes life into Pandora, animating her and making her sentient. She becomes the first woman endowed with life and divine beauty, but also curiosity, and the fate tied to the world's evils. Pandora herself becomes a tool of revenge, a way to restore divine order by bringing suffering to mankind. Pandora is given a jar, often translated as a box, that contains all the world's evils, such as disease, despair, and sorrow. She is warned not to open it, yet curiosity compels her to lift the lid, unleashing these horrors upon humanity. When the evils are released, only hope remains trapped inside, symbolizing the resilience or solace left to humanity despite suffering. The box itself has become symbolic of forbidden knowledge or temptation. While Pandora's curiosity leads to disaster, it also reflects a fundamental human desire to seek answers and understand mysteries, even at a cost. In ancient Greek culture, curiosity, especially about forbidden things, was often viewed as a trait to be controlled, as it could lead to chaos or upheaval. Pandora's story serves as a reminder of the consequences of disobedience and the high price of uncovering forbidden knowledge. While forbidden knowledge may come at a high cost, it reveals an enduring truth that even in the face of despair, hope remains, showing that even when it seems all hope is lost, humanity still clings onto it. Medea's story is one of passion, power, and pain. Known as a powerful sorceress, she's a princess of Colchis, a region on the Black Sea, and a granddaughter of the sun god Helios. Medea is the daughter of King Aeetes of Colchis and is often described as a priestess of the goddess Hecate, from whom she learns powerful spells and potion making. Known for her mastery of magic, she specializes in potions, transformations, and dark magic. Medea's sorcery sets her apart as a figure of both wisdom and danger, feared and respected in equal measure. Medea's story is most famously tied to her relationship with the hero Jason. Jason is sent on a dangerous quest to retrieve the Golden Fleece from Colchis, where it is kept in a sacred grove and guarded by a dragon. This task is part of his mission to reclaim the throne of Iolcus, which was stolen from his family. When he arrives, Jason's charm and courage captivate Medea, and she falls deeply in love with him. Medea uses her magic to help Jason succeed in his nearly impossible tasks to obtain the Golden Fleece. She gives him potions to protect him from fire-breathing bulls and helps him defeat an army that springs from dragons' teeth. Medea's love for Jason leads her to betray her father, King Aietes. She decides to help Jason steal the Golden Fleece, even though it means going against her father's wishes and her own heritage. In one version of the myth, she uses her magic to put the dragon guarding the fleece to sleep, allowing Jason to take it. When Jason and Medea decide to flee Colchis with the Golden Fleece, King Aietes becomes enraged and pursues them with an army. To delay her father's pursuit and give Jason and herself more time to escape, Medea decides to take her brother's life. In one version of the story, she lures her brother into a trap to help Jason escape. These betrayals severs her ties to her homeland and family, leaving her exiled and fully committed to Jason. After fleeing Colchis, Medea marries Jason, and they settle in Corinth, where they have 2 sons. For a while, Medea is devoted to Jason, and her loyalty and sacrifices reveal a deep but turbulent love. Medea's mastery of dark magic and willingness to betray her own family for Jason ultimately isolate her from everyone she loves. Over time, Jason's ambition leads him to seek a political alliance with the king of Corinth. By marrying his daughter, Glauce, Jason abandons Medea, leaving her betrayed and furious. This betrayal triggers Medea's transformation from a loving partner to a vengeful sorceress. Medea's fury leads her to use her magic in a devastating act of vengeance. She sends a poisoned robe to Glauce, which consumes her in flames when she puts it on, killing her and anyone who tries to save her, including her father. In a heart-wrenching act, Medea takes her sons' lives to punish Jason. The deaths of their sons is a shocking and extreme expression of Medea's grief and anger. After exacting her revenge, Medea flees to Athens in a chariot provided by her grandfather, Helios. In some versions, Medea marries the king of Athens, but eventually leaves after a failed attempt to secure the throne for her son. She returns to Colchis in some accounts, while in others, she continues her journey elsewhere. Medusa's story begins with her as a strikingly beautiful mortal woman. She was unique among the Gorgons, being the only one who was born mortal. Medusa's beauty was renowned. Her long, flowing hair and captivating features were admired by mortals and gods alike. She was a priestess of Athena, dedicated to a life of purity and worship in the goddess's temple. Medusa's life took a dark turn when she caught the attention of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Some interpretations suggest that Poseidon's pursuit of Medusa was partly motivated by his rivalry with Athena. Since Medusa was a devoted priestess in Athena's temple, Poseidon might have seen her as a way to assert his power and undermine Athena by violating something sacred to her. Medusa was dedicated to Athena as a priestess and maintained a life of purity out of respect for the goddess. Poseidon pursued Medusa and ultimately had his way with her in Athena's temple. This act enraged Athena, not because of jealousy, but due to the desecration of her sacred space. Athena, embodying the rigid divine justice of the Greek gods, chose to punish Medusa rather than Poseidon, transforming her into a terrifying creature as retribution. With Athena's curse, Medusa's radiant beauty was distorted into monstrosity. Her hair turned into writhing, venomous snakes, and her gaze became lethal. Anyone who looked directly into her eyes would instantly turn to stone. Stripped of her former beauty, Medusa was exiled from the world of mortals and condemned to a life of solitude. She became a Gorgon in every sense, joining her immortal sisters in a remote and desolate place. From that moment on, Medusa was feared and reviled, her once admired beauty now a source of terror. Medusa lived in isolation, far from human contact, cursed to a life of loneliness with her lethal gaze and monstrous appearance. Though feared by mortals, her story became a challenge for heroes who sought glory by slaying her. Eventually, the hero Perseus was tasked with bringing back Medusa's head as part of a quest assigned by King Polydectes. With the help of divine gifts from the gods, including a helmet of invisibility given by Hades, a reflective shield from Athena, this was essential for Perseus to avoid looking directly at Medusa, since looking at her would turn him to stone. Winged sandals from Hermes. These allowed Perseus to fly, aiding in his journey to reach Medusa's lair, and a special bag to carry her head. Perseus set out to find Medusa. When Perseus arrived at Medusa's lair, he used the reflective shield to avoid her petrifying gaze. Guided by her reflection, he approached and ultimately beheaded Medusa while she was asleep. From her blood sprang two children, Chrysaor and Pegasus, born from her union with Poseidon. After her death, Perseus used Medusa's severed head as a powerful weapon, capable of turning anyone who gazed upon it to stone. He wielded it to defeat his enemies, but eventually, he offered the head to Athena. Athena placed it on her shield, transforming Medusa's image into a symbol of protection rather than fear. The head of Medusa, once a source of horror, became a protective emblem on Athena's shield and armor, warding off evil and instilling fear in enemies. Cassandra's story begins when the god Apollo falls in love with her and grants her the ability to see the future as a way to win her affections. However, when Cassandra rejects his advances, Apollo becomes enraged and curses her. Apollo's curse is devastating. He grants her the gift of prophecy, allowing her to see the future with perfect clarity. However, as part of the curse, Apollo ensures that no one will ever believe her predictions. Although Cassandra can foresee future events with perfect accuracy, no one will ever believe her. This curse becomes her tragic fate, as she is forced to watch the horrors she predicts unfold, powerless to prevent them because her warnings are always ignored. Cassandra plays a significant role in the events leading up to the fall of Troy. She foresees the destruction of her city and tries to warn the Trojans about impending disasters, including the arrival of the Greeks and the famous Trojan horse. Despite her desperate attempts, no one in Troy believes her predictions. When the Greeks hide inside the Trojan horse, Cassandra warns that it will bring disaster, but the Trojans dismiss her as mad. This disbelief condemns her city to destruction, a bitter irony of her curse. After Troy's fall, Cassandra is captured by the Greek hero Agamemnon and taken to Mycenae as a war prize. This final chapter of her life is marked by even more tragedy. Upon arriving at the palace, Cassandra, still cursed to be ignored, predicted her own death. She foresaw that she and Agamemnon would both be slain by Clytemnestra, Agamemnon's wife, and Aegisthus, Clytemnestra's lover. As always, no one believed her, and her warnings went unheeded. Clytemnestra, who had been plotting revenge for the sacrifice of their daughter, ended Agamemnon's life. Cassandra was next. She was caught while she tried to flee to the temple of Apollo, seeking sanctuary, and was slain by Clytemnestra. According to some accounts, she was dragged from the temple by Clytemnestra herself, or by Aegisthus, though the details vary in different sources. Cassandra's death is particularly tragic because she had foreseen it, yet she could do nothing to prevent it. Marking the culmination of her tragic life, one of prophetic power but doomed to be ignored and misunderstood even in her final moments. Throughout time, these stories of cursed and fated women reveal more than magic and spells. They reveal the strength and resilience it takes to defy fate, to endure the weight of forbidden knowledge, and to navigate a world that so often feared their power. Each one paid a high price for their knowledge, where power and consequence are bound by fate. Yet their legacies continue to live on. Perhaps they're not just simply stories, but reflections, a mirror that lets us glimpse our own battles with the unknown. After all, who isn't drawn to the forbidden and mysterious? Thank you for joining me for this story. Until next time, stay mystical. If you made it this far and liked the video, please let me know by hitting the like button so I know this topic was interesting. Also, let me know in the comments which story resonated with you the most. Who was your favorite out of these cursed and fated women? And hey, don't forget to subscribe to become a mystic seeker and join us on more journeys like this one. Thanks for watching.